Hey, this is C&D Channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC 174. I gotta say, my picks were horrible. just absolutely terrible. No excuses there, really, because this isn't like... This really wasn't a card that the picks were... I mean, the fights were even enough on paper, but, you know, they weren't like... They weren't, I guess, like, that hard to tell, I guess, in hindsight. For one, I should have picked, like, Rory McDonald. That was an easy one. I didn't pick him in this fight, and I almost always pick him to win in his fight. So, it just, that was a really bad, if there's something a really egregious pick right there that I didn't do, that I got wrong, that's the one. Besides having bad picks, though, to the point where I didn't even know how to do this. But, this card wasn't very good either. I would actually say it's borderline a bad card. My picks sucked, and quite honestly, this card kind of sucked, too. The bonuses, we got Taehyung Bong and Cajun Johnson earning Fight of the Night. And I'll just say Bang. Bang and Keiichi Kunimoto got Performance of the Night honors. This card's pretty much just going to be a hindsight card and a pretty much a what I could do better next time type of card. It's overall one thing that it was really noticeable about this card is one guy. This is on a lot of fights, dude. It's like McDonald's fight, Bader's fight, Jablin's fight, Tanaka's fight. It was this ability of one fighter to implement a good game plan well, and the other guy not having the tools or just looking flat a lot of times. For the most part, though, it's just they didn't really have the tools, or they have really bad habits. Roland Delorme's a little too content off his back. Tyron Woodley backs up straight against a cage, and these aren't the first times that these guys have done that. So, it's like moving forward, I definitely have to watch out for that, But it's one guy implementing a game plan, and one guy either just going back to bad habits or just totally unsuccessful in countering that game plan, just not having the tools to counter that game plan, or just like looking just really bad in general. I can't really explain it. Speaking of bad fights, man, that Arlovsky versus Shaw fight, that was just, that sucked. Yeah, and also, man, this fight, even after the event's over, even from a divisional standpoint thing, it's like a lot of these guys aren't too much farther, except maybe Rory McDonald, arguably Bader, OSP, yeah. But a lot of these guys just aren't too much farther than they already were, so... Even for divisional relevance, it's not the best card. I'm really putting this card down, and I'm not. This is actually a very common opinion too. I'm not just saying it, just because. Like, quite honestly, like across the board, a lot of comments, a lot of journalists have said that this is not a great card. I have to agree with that. I was watching with three friends. Just kind of sat back, and we weren't. There's no oohs or ahs. It's just kind of like, okay, it's like, okay, it's all right, Let's get started though. Demetrius Johnson defeated Ali Bagautinov by unanimous decision, 50-45 across the board. If you're a fan of technique, you will definitely like Demetrius Johnson. There's a lot to like in his performance here. I remember there's one sequence where he is southpaw. He did a left. It was kind of a stepping left. He kind of like sides up to his side, picked a punch, did a leg kick. I still remember that sequence and just thinking, wow, man, I want to do stuff like that when I spar. It is Demetrius Johnson is really crisp from a technical standpoint. I mean, this guy makes no errors. One other thing that's really interesting with what we're seeing these days is guys with really good mobility and just overall footwork over plotters and winning championships. Demetrius Johnson obviously is like that, but you saw that with T.J. Dillashaw against Renan Barão. I mean, I'm not saying like all of it's the movement, but I think a big part of them winning and dominating has to be their footwork and overall movement. You saw it like with Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn. Who else? So, and while Jones did beat Gustafsson, I gotta contribute a lot of Gustafsson's success in getting rounds to his lateral movement and ability to move laterally, move well, and strike at the right time. So I think it kind of looks like we're heading that way as far as fighters are going, more fleet-footed. I mean, it's always been the preferred style to be more bouncing off your feet, a lot more movement, a lot more lateral movement. For one, shots like takedowns are generally done in a straight line. So if you're moving laterally, it's easier to defend a takedown, for example, or just circling out instead of backing up against a cage. You use lateral movement to do that. So there's just so many benefits to doing that. And it's kind of funny talking about that because, it's something there. It's something that's been talked about a lot, but I think it's a lot more prevalent these days, especially about their effectiveness. And just, I guess in the sense of how far behind mixed martial arts is as far as striking goes. We're still kind of like the jab is the most underutilized punch in MMA, We're kind of getting out of that now. The jab's been around in like boxing forever, Using good footwork and lateral movement, It's been there in the UFC and in MMA, but it's really becoming more in the forefront now. The other thing I liked about Johnson is the clinch game. When he got that plum and just, hitting some really good knees from there, using it to counter Ali Bagautonov's own clinch against the cage. And he got some pretty hard shots in there. I gotta say, Ali's got a chin. There were some strikes that Johnson hit clean. There's a head kick that hit him really clean that he just took like nothing. A lot of those knees right on the chin, honestly. And they didn't seem to really faze him that much. So as far as toughness goes, Ali looked really good. But, honestly, this was all Demetrius Johnson. There's not much to take away from Ali Bagautinov. He did the best he could. Showed a good chin. He's resilient, but he just didn't have the tools to beat Johnson. And Johnson arguably is probably, as far as on a technical level, arguably is number one as pound for pound as far as like most technically sound fighter, well-rounded and technically sound fighter out there. When he got taken down, he just got back to his feet. And Johnson doesn't get taken down that much. So his takedown defense, as it is already really good. I remember he shot for a takedown, missed, and as he was getting out, or on the way up, kneed Ali. This guy his integration too of all aspects of MMA is just so on point with him. It just really shows in this fight just how technical the guy is and just how well-rounded the guy is. Sorcy Johnson should fight next. Dana White was hinting that a rematch with John Dodson is next round. I think that's the most appropriate fight. Dodson's coming off that really good win over John Moraga. Had knocked out Del Montague before that. And just the fact of the matter is there aren't too many other options out there for him. You could get the winner of Formiga versus Makovsky. I think that's a really good... That could work also. I'd like to see Makovsky Johnson. And another guy that's working his way up that I think will fight Johnson in the near future. In the near future, not like next or anything like that. Justin Scoggins. I think that guy is... I would love to see him fight Demetrius Johnson in the near future as well. The most appropriate fight for Ali Bagautinov, quite honestly, would be against Joseph Benavidez. Benavidez has lost twice to Demetrius Johnson already. Don't know if he's going to get a title shot. And Ali just lost to Johnson. It's a fight, in my opinion, that makes the most sense for him. If not, he could get the winner of McCall versus Pickett next. I gotta say, Johnson doesn't seem too interested in fighting John Dodson, interestingly enough. It seems like he wants to get Pickett or like Makovsky next. So I find that really interesting. Next fight after that, Roy McDonald defeated Tyron Woodley by unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. The way the fight played out, the first round was a good competitive fight. The thing that was really hurting Woodley after that was he's backing himself up against the cage. And, he might say, like, oh, my cardio is great. But you could tell he fights in a way, especially the way he backs up and kind of waits for his shots. Not the highest output as rounds go by. Is that he's fighting in a way to conserve energy and not to work up his cardio. So even though he's not gassed per se, he definitely is fighting conservatively because his gas tank isn't the greatest, to be perfectly honest with you. Like I said, it was, in hindsight, I should have picked Roy McDonald to win this fight. I picked Roy McDonald to beat just about like every person he's fought. I'm really high on him for good reason, One thing about Tyron Woodley is he backs up against the cage, and this is not the first time he did that. Even parts of the Condit fight, you can see it. He got finished against the cage against Nate Marquardt. He did it against Jake Shields. He backs himself up against the cage. Moving forward, that's definitely a weakness of his to look out for. Not just bad cardio or anything like that. But his, constantly backing up against the cage. Roy McDonald loves that position. You saw that against BJ Penn. Guys against the cage, he loves using his length, using kicks. I liked his body work here. Kicks to the body, punches in combination. And he likes to work that against people against the cage, on people against the cage. Woodley kind of handed that to him on a silver platter. Even his cornerman Dean Thomas was on him to stop backing up against the cage. Didn't stop him. One thing that was interesting though was Woodley was very successful when he used it was the outside leg kick. You gotta wonder. I've always found that to be a good counter to a jab myself. I gotta wonder if future opponents with good leg kicks could use that against Rory. But otherwise, Rory looked really good. Third round, you take down this really strong wrestler, get a dominant position, pretty much a crucifix, and start throwing, just throwing like lefts from side mount crucifix. That just kind of put the stamp of like, man, he outstruck him. He even out-wrestled the guy. Man, you know what? I picked Woodley because I thought if things got too hairy on the stand-up, he would be able to take McDonald down because Woodley at this point, Woodley's pretty much the best wrestler that McDonald fought, and McDonald managed to defend his takedowns and whatnot. It was just a really good performance from McDonald. Really like his work to the body as well. I'm very impressed with that. When people do that, it's very effective. A lot of what Roy did was just very effective. If as far as who they should get next, Robbie Lawler versus Matt Brown. The winner of that's probably gonna get Johnny Hendricks. But if one of them's injured or can't fight, you gotta give it to Rory next. I mean, he looks good. He's beating some top guys: Damian Maia, Jake Allenberger, Tyron Woodley. I mean, merit. He definitely, there's a good argument for him getting a title shot. It's, it's not laughable or anything like that. It's, he's beating top guys. He looks good doing it. If not, though, because like I said, I think the winner of Lawler versus Matt Brown is probably going to get the next title shot. So probably McDonald versus the winner of Lombard versus Kim would be a good next opponent. For Woodley, I think a good appropriate opponent for him would be Jake Ellenberger. Both of them most recently lost to Rory Mack. So, actually, Ellenberger most recently lost to Robbie Lawler, but they both have lost Rory McDonald. Woodley Ellenberger I think would be a good next fight for them. Next fight, I thought Ryan Bader defeated Rafael Feijóo by unanimous decision, 30-27. The story of the fight is Bader using really good wrestling. His striking looked improved. His overall integration of his striking and wrestling looked improved. Hit a really nice double leg in the middle of the cage. He started in the middle and just it went almost to the edge of the cage. But yeah, one thing that I thought the reason why I picked Cavalcante here is because I know if he got taken down, he's good at getting back to his feet, and he actually did show that he is good at getting back to his feet. One thing that I didn't put into consideration was Feijóo. Another thing with him too is I think he throws a really low volume of strikes. Part of that is probably because his cardio isn't very good. I would honestly say, I would think that a lot of his low output is due to his lack of cardio. And also it's just his fighting style. He just throws one hitter quitters. Could be it too, But yeah, he just didn't look good. He has some really inconsistent performances as well. Once again, this is another fight I probably should have picked Bader. In hindsight, I should have picked Bader to win this. Despite the Tito loss, he's shown to be a lot more consistent than Cavalcante is. Like I said, though, I liked what I saw from Bader. His wrestling looked on point. He integrated it well with his striking, and he just looked good. He tends to look good against a certain level of opponent. Tends to look bad when he gets to the elite. John Jones, Machida. What did he lose to? He lost to Tito. He looked decent against Glover Teixeira, but his flaws kind of showed in his striking by getting knocked out the way he did. I think Bader should get OSP next. They've in the post-fight press conference, they've wanted to fight each other. It's a fight that makes sense. It makes sense for both of them. If not, you can do Bader Shogun would work. I think Shogun come off a win or loss. I forgot. I forgot he fought last. To be perfectly honest with you. He's coming off the loss to Dan Henderson. But he's a big name, you know what I mean? Winnable fight for Bader. Another person coming off a loss that probably makes some sense for Bader would be Phil Davis. If I give someone higher up, maybe the winner of Anthony Johnson versus Little Nogueira. Bader already beat Little Nogueira, but Anthony Johnson Bader wouldn't be the worst fight if Anthony Johnson wins his next fight. With Feijóo, maybe Jimmy Manuwa, maybe Fabio Maldonado next. Maybe some people maybe a little closer to the mid-level. Ryan Jimmo Feijiao actually wouldn't be too bad as well. Next fight after that, if you can call this a fight, Andrei Arlovsky beat Brendan Schaub by split decision. Here's the thing. I picked Arlovsky to win. I thought Brendan Schaub totally won this fight. However, it's not a robbery. This fight sucks so bad. I mean, I think Schaub won by because he got one cleaner punch in the second round or something. Then Arlovsky managed to do much of anything, I mean, besides clinch against a cage and do nothing with it. Both these guys are super hesitant to strike. Schaub kept spamming this duck under, over and right combo all the time. It was just miserable to watch. The decision, not a great decision at all. But the fight just was, it was one of those things where I can't even be too angry at the decision because, once again, I don't think it's a robbery because, even though nothing happened in the first two rounds, it was so much of, nothing that, I in a sense, it could go either way, Just terrible fight. I think Arlovsky should get the winner of Mitrione versus Struve next. With Shaw, maybe get some winner or loser. Probably the winner of Jack May versus Sean Jordan next. Man, yeah, just terrible fight from both these guys. Next fight after that, Ovince St. Preux defeated Ryan Jimmo by verbal submission. This was kind of cool because Ryan Jimmo said, "My arm's broken, my arm's broken," right? And I don't think OSP heard him or whatnot, and the fight's still going on. Ref hasn't stopped the fight. So he goes and freaking grabs an arm and just commemorates the guy. I mean, that type of killer instinct, it's a good look for OSP, actually, because he needs that type of killer instinct. OSP is interesting because the guy is an athlete. His wrestling and overall grappling is greatly improving. He's a good striker. Throws really good. I think he's hitting Jimmo pretty consistently with a straight left a lot of times. He'll try fancy stuff as well. OSP will. But yeah, good win for Ovince St. Preux. Ryan Jimmo, injury prone, man. Broke his arm against Jimmy Manuwa. Something happened with his leg. And the way the fight went too is Ovince, he hit the straight left. He even got a takedown on Jimmo. Jimmo didn't really get to do too much. He hit his clinch game a little bit, but it didn't really do much against OSP. And Ovince won. He's looking better and better. OSP versus Bader is probably one of the better fights to do next. Ryan Jimmo, just more lower to mid-tier guys at the division. And quite honestly, looking down the prelims, I'm just going to say lower to mid-tier guys at the division for most of these guys. Okay, on to prelims. Keiichi Kunimoto defeated Daniel Serafian by rear naked choke in the first round. This kind of surprised me because Daniel Serafian looked good on Ultimate Fighter Brazil. He beat Sergio Moraes. And, at middleweight, he didn't even look that bad against, CB Dalloway, Looked pretty bad against Cesar Mutanch, but, that fight kind of stunk. I thought he'd be able to get Kunimoto pretty easily, He even hit a good, two-punch combo to Kunimoto's face pretty early on, I just thought, I gotta wonder how much the weight cut affected the guy. But yeah, good takedown from Kunimoto. Took the back, sunk into rear naked choke, and it was all over. Which is funny because from Kunimoto, I can't find video of this guy, and in his last fight against Luis Dutra, I mean, I didn't see anything from this guy. So it's just, it's interesting because I really didn't expect him to win. I don't think many people did. I think this might go back to the idea of overvaluing certain guys. I definitely overvalued Serafian here. He's definitely more well known than Kunimoto, but he's only shown to be at best a mid-level guy. But the fact of the matter is that there's so little footage of Kunimoto out there. I couldn't really make like a proper assessment of the guy just because there's so little to assess with him. I don't know if Serafian's gonna get cut after this. I gotta wonder how much the weight cut actually hurt him. And the thing with Serafian, to be perfectly honest with you, at welterweight, he's not going to be any better than a mid-level guy anyways. Kunimoto, I'd just like to see him get some more lower to... And both these guys are some more lower to mid-tier guys with the division. The next fight after that, Valerie Letourneau defeated Elizabeth Phillips by split decision. The start of the fight was that Phillips has really bad, sloppy technique. She has a lot of heart. She's really aggressive. She's pushing forward. Letourneau has a lot better technique in her kickboxing. Throws a good head kick. Throws combinations relatively well. And managed to use her superior technique over Phillips' aggression. Phillips showed a good chin. She got hit a lot. This was a fun fight. As far as technical mastery or anything is concerned, it's not very, there's a very low technical level here. You have to understand, though, that these two are replacements of replacements. I mean, you're talking like, the original fight was like Milana Dudeva versus Jermaine Durandamy, I think. And it might actually not even be that, to be honest with you. I mean, it was just... Jeez, I don't even know if that was the original fight. So, understandably, these two were like the third off the bench, you know what I mean? It was just... They took the fight on short notice. They were like the third replacement for the original fights. I mean, that's the original fight that even I forgot what the original fight was. But yeah, it was kind of a regional level MMA type fight, to be honest with you, as far as technique goes. It's still an entertaining fight though. So, and that's kind of a theme with a lot of female bantamweights that aren't around like the top 7, is that you see more, you don't see the greatest technique at times from from a good amount of the lower level female fighters. There aren't too many, there aren't too many choices for them next. So I can probably say like, Phillips versus Durandamy. Letourneau versus Dudeva actually wouldn't be too bad. Alexis Dufresne versus Letourneau next wouldn't be too bad either. So who's the winner? The winner of Leslie Smith versus Jessamine Duke can get Letourneau, and the loser can get Phillips. So there's a lot of options for these two. Next fight after that, Yves Jabouin beat Mike Easton by unanimous decision. This one surprised me, actually, because one, Jabouin's wrestling and overall grappling definitely is not his strength. And actually, Mike Easton has shown some pretty good takedown defense in his career. You gotta wonder how not fighting out of alliance. He trains under Lloyd Irvin. I don't think he trains with the Alliance guys these days. And how much that's hurt him, actually, because I don't know if he's training with like those really high-level fighters anymore. 4 losses in a row for Easton, he should be cut. story of the fight really is that Jabouin, especially at range, managed to beat Easton. Easton managed to get in the first round a good counter punch. He was mainly he counter punches a lot. That's mainly Easton's striking style. Tried to push forward. Easton has a really good chin. He's supposed to be a good wrestler in the BJJ black belt. I didn't see that here. Jabouin managed to get takedowns on Easton. He didn't do too much with it, but he managed to get him down relatively easily too. I think Yves Jabouin, or is it Jabouin or Dubois? I'll say Jabouin. Definitely, I forgot if he might be coming off a loss in the last fight. I honestly forgot. Lower level guys, it's hard to remember, who they last fought. No, I think it was Eddie Wineland. Yeah, he got knocked out by Eddie Wineland. Yves Jabouin, good mid-level gatekeeper for 135, But yeah, just more lower to mid-tier guys in the division for Yves. Mike Easton, 4 losses in a row, should probably get cut from the promotion. Next fight after that, Taehyun Bang beat Cajun Johnson by knockout in the 3rd round. Should have, that Chandler Priest fight really showed it against Cajun Johnson. You know what I mean? That Cajun's a bit chinny. He's got a good ground game. Not the greatest wrestler. He managed to get some good shots in on Bang, but Bang has a good chin. Actually, the shot that put out Johnson was actually coming off. Johnson got a head kick on Bang. His leg was still hanging, hanging off the guy's shoulder pretty much, and he just got a knockout punch from there. Both these guys honestly look like this is kind of the thing with the UFC signing so many fighters these days too. I mean, both these guys looked like regional level fighters, to be honest with you. You can use Bang against. You can beat some lower level. I don't know how many lower level guys in the UFC he'd be able to beat. This was a good win for him though. He's got some power in his hands. Some. He's got a really good chin. Cajun, his ground game's good. He kept getting swept by the same sweep. When he got a dominant more or less a dominant position too, is half guard, but in like a arm and guillotine, and he just get kind of rolled over. It's more lower to mid-tier guys in the division for these two. Okay, on the Fight Pass prelims, Michinori Tanaka defeated Roland Delorme by unanimous decision. I liked what I saw from Tanaka. Great judo takedown, strong top control. He used lateral movement in his striking. Not the highest output in his striking, but looked pretty good. He's only like 23 years old. I like what I see from his skill set. Roland Delorme tried to fight off his back, but I think that's the problem with Delorme. He's just a little too comfortable off his back. Did manage to get mount on Tanaka, but Tanaka managed. I think he took his back and then got like rolled over pretty much. It's good stuff from Tanaka. I'd like to see Tanaka actually drop down to 125. Just more lower to mid-tier guys at the division. Okay, finally, Jason Sago defeated Josh Shockley by TKO in the first round. Good grappling from Sago here. It's really not much I can say, Shockley was game, but just couldn't get the win. There's not much I can really say about this fight. They're both like lower level guys, new guys in the UFC. Just more lower to mid-tier guys at the division for these two. So that's it for our UFC 174 post-fight analysis. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.